It had been a while since Sherry and I had kind of been on our own on the boat, so with a little time on our hands, we took off and just decided to go wherever the wind took us. Our first stop was Eagle Harbor.
Ah, there's some eagles. I don't know if I can get them or not.
They're hard to see.
They're, wow, okay. I don't think I can see them, so. Wow.
With the misty hills over there with the mountains is important.
Hey, I gotta get my glasses on too.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
In this one for some reason.
The anchorage at Eagle Harbor is usually completely filled, especially on a sunny day like this. You can imagine how surprised we were to find there was only one other boat and like a dozen empty mooring balls. It was an amazing, amazing day, and yet here we were, almost alone. The thin, high clouds that had been in the sky since early morning finally burned off, and before we knew it, we had a beautiful, clear view of the mountains in the distance. Hear those eagles up there? Well, I think we should get the books out and do a little reading and
Yes, definitely.
drink some beer. Wow. Beauty. I think, okay, you're doing.
Getting the sun now.
Alrighty. Well, I'm going to grab my book.
Yeah, windy out here. Probably won't be able to hear anything on the video. Yep.
Once we were securely tied to the mooring buoy, we started looking for eagles. I mean, Eagle Harbor is actually named after the eagles that inhabit that area. Most of the taller hills around there, you'll see these large trees, and the very top of the trees typically will hold one or more eagles. With the wind blowing like this, the eagles tend to soar. They kind of use the thermals coming off the side of the hills, looking for whatever fish or small games they're hunting. But it's definitely a fun thing to do, to just spot the eagles and see what they're up to. Sometimes they're chased by other birds because I know they disturb nests. But the birds seem to really kind of get along pretty much in that harbor because there's quite a bit of food available for everyone.
Beautiful up there. I'm going to make some breakfast, and I'm going to get the dinghy in the water.
Even as a few more boats came into the small anchorage and grabbed mooring buoys, we knew this was the sort of solitude we'd been looking for a while. You have a hectic and busy life, and it's really nice to get away while you can and just enjoy peace and quiet out in nature.
One of the boats left during the night, right next to us.
There's a stillness in these small harbors in the early hours of the morning. The wind hasn't come up, the water's out, people are still sleeping, waking up, making their first cup of coffee of the day. And it's about this time that Sherry and I start thinking about maybe heading north even though there's no wind, we know that the currents are going to be pushing northward for the next 5 or 6 hours. So at that time, we just get ready to go, and once we drop our mooring line, we're pretty much
Yeah, it is.
on our way.
It woke me up.
Yeah, it's so bright.
Yeah. I think I'm going to get my camera and take a couple of pictures. Hey, should I take you too? Okay.
With a strong flood predicted for the next 5 or 6 hours, we took advantage of the northward movement of water to motor sail all the way up to Sucia, pulling into Echo Bay. Okay. Need a new battery for the... Oh, Cher, we need to fix that picture.
Yeah, I'll get
What a mess. I mean, it was and it wasn't a rough ride either. It was a real simple ride in glassy water, but wow, we are messy. No, Sherry is so messy. Here she is, making a mess.
I'm beyond messy.
Beyond messy. Okay, so here we decided there's a rope, boys.
Absolute nope.
And notice nobody is on any of the rope buoys. Look at that. Nobody. And then there's buoys all over the place. Check that out. Buoys everywhere. We just grabbed a buoy. And the mountains, this morning, of course, there wasn't a cloud to be seen anywhere.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 buoys, it looks like.
There's room for at least 100 boats in here. Hey, where's that boat you said you really liked?
This one.
Is it the gray-hulled one?
Yes.
That's a expedition yacht.
That's the one, it looks like the one they were selling at Cap Sandy. And
Yeah,
I
it's
just love that boat.
Nordhaven.
Yeah, that's the Nordhaven,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's like a
Peregrinations is the name of that boat, but I don't know if they just put that on. They're having a hard time anchoring it.
yeah,
Okay, it looks like it grabbed there.
it's a heavy boat. So
That's
they're going
hot.
too fast. Look at the, wow.
That stopped it.
Yeah,
We're good.
they're good. Anyway, oh, and let me show how close we are to the beach. It's bright out here. Okay, so here's the beach. Look at that. We were literally right there, Cher.
Mm-hmm.
That is so
Very
close.
cool.
Let's see your beer. Okay, and how cold is it?
Ice cold.
Ice cold. And here's my beer. Now, how cold is it? It's got ice
cold.
forming on it.
Super icy.
Super icy cold. And then look at this. We're in our little, getting out of the sun. Okay, I'm getting the chips. Here we go. I'm filming, babe. What do you think of that?
Cool.
So I'm going to start with our boat. Little Bonnie Rose.
Yeah, really. Little is appropriate.
Yeah. And we almost had to paddle again because the outboard was playing that game where something got caught in it. But I kept pulling as we were getting the paddles out, deciding we had to row and then rebuild the outboard, but it seemed to have stopped. I mean, it has power again, so we'll see what happens. Oh, and here's... really quiet last night, calm, and the beach, you can see the tide's way out, and there's the lady of the hour. In keeping with the theme of solitude and getting back to nature in this video, I thought I'd show some slides instead of video, maybe even find a little music to accompany this. Basically, what I want to do is show the various features that are out on Sucia. You got to remember that not so many years ago they pulled up a femur, I believe it was, from a velociraptor from 80 million years ago. That's quite a fossil find, and I'm sure there are many, many others awaiting us. Looking at some of these pictures, I can actually imagine coming across a velociraptor fossil. Somewhere in those rocks, the rest of that dinosaur exists, so it's something to keep in mind. The wooded areas on Sucia are a mixture of both coniferous and deciduous trees. They have basically the same ground cover that you would find in most of the Pacific Northwest, with the exception of a little bit drier climate. So we have actually a little bit of prickly pear cactus at places. We'll see a few smaller trees and shrubs because they don't get quite as much water. But the ground cover is every bit as beautiful as the rest of the region. Sucia Island was named by the Spanish explorers, and in Spanish it means foul, in this case foul with shallow waters and reefs that surround the island itself. The bays are shallow. Many of them are actually too shallow for deep draft sailboats to enter. And they also have some very strong currents that can affect boating in the vicinity. A nice day in the Pacific Northwest can bring hundreds of boaters to Sucia. There are campgrounds all over the island, and many of them have hiking trails that connect one campground with another, so very large parties of campers can basically lose themselves on the island. As popular as the island is, the only way onto Sucia is either by private boat or private seaplane. Following the flow of nature, we decided to follow the ebb and drift southwest toward Sidney Spit, a very beautiful spot in the Canadian waters.
Okay, yeah, that's what did it. Hey, Cher, look at. Okay, telephoto.
Oh.
No, that's wide angle. Hey, here it is, just slow telephoto. You got her, babe.
Sidney Spit is located about 3 miles to the east of Vancouver Island. The town of Sidney is located on the north end of Sidney Island. During the season, that would be the summer season, there's a foot passenger only ferry that delivers people that want to go camping to the island and picks them up and takes them back to Sidney. Other than that, the only access is by private boat. There are a number of really nice campgrounds on the island. Probably a half a dozen of them are large enough for a couple of dozen campsites at one time. There's actually a former brick factory that was there probably 150 years ago, and the remnants of that brick factory can still be seen in piles of brick that are near the marsh area.
All right, just what a scene. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I like it. I like it.
From the back, anyway.
Yeah.
Since we were only a few hours away from Butchart Gardens and already had season tickets, we decided to head around the north end of the Saanich Peninsula and then south to Butchart Cove. After grabbing a mooring buoy and doing a stern tie in Butchart Cove, we watched the Prince of Wales whale watching boat come and pick up passengers before heading out to do a whale watching tour.
Does better at filming.
Yeah.
there's too much reflection. I'm wearing polarized glasses, so
Oh, yeah.
yeah, without the polarization,
You have nothing.
You haven't, yeah.
Much.
Arriving at Butchart Gardens by boat is both relaxing and convenient. We're able to tour the gardens and stop back at the boat if we want a quick, easy dinner, and then come back for the night events. We'd arranged to meet my brother and his wife at Anacortes for their street fair in another day, so we took off from Butchart Gardens and headed all the way back to Anacortes in one day. On the way back, I don't know if you can tell from the photos here, but there were fires up in Canada that was drawing smoke across the sun, and it made for some amazing sunrises. Anacortes is an amazing place. I mean, what other street fair has a freighter passing by at the end of the block?